In 1929, America was sent into a financial panic when the stock market crashed on October 29th. The overinflated stock market caused America and other parts of the world to plunge into a Great Depression. This caused many to stand in lines, desperately hoping there may be a job awaiting them. Following the crash of the stock market, thousands rushed to their banks to collect their money and to put into their own pockets to make sure it was safe. This caused many banks to close their doors and sent many Americans home penniless.
Well, I think they just, it was so little, there was nothing to take to the bank by the time you bought food and, things like that. And so I don't know where they kept their money.
During the Great Depression, the mix of a massive drought and farmers using poor techniques to cultivate the ground caused a countrywide food shortage. This forced many Americans to line up in bread or soup lines for a simple daily meal.
It took me years to be able to eat bean soup. And mostly for lunch, it would be a cheese sandwich or else a bologna sandwich. And then during the summer, and that my mom and dad always had a garden, and they had a few fruit trees in the garden, so it was better eating then than it was in the winter time. But just you can't go eating bean soup for the rest of your life. It was awful, but we managed.
By the mid-1930s, Americans had suffered through almost a decade of pain and misery. There seemed to be no end in sight. With the future not looking so bright, many turned to suicide to end the suffering they were enduring.
And there was people jumping out of windows, people shooting themselves, and just all kinds of junk going on like that. You just wondered what in the world. But I guess if you had $1 million in there and they'd taken it all away from you, I guess you would feel like jumping out the window. It was hard, but you took it day by day, and you finally got through it. You just wanted to do your best and have a good job, be able to save some money, be able to help whoever you could, and it paid off in the long run.
The Great Depression put Americans into a serious economic crisis that this country had never seen before. It caused many hard workers to lose their jobs and quickly sent them into poverty. It took more than a decade for the economy and stock market to recover and restore fortune.
For our cultural connection, we chose a poem by an unknown author. This poem deeply describes the hardships of everyday life during the 1930s. The poem reads like this.
Deep sorrow filled the American's heart. Everyone had to do their part. People were trading and selling their things, raving about what life would bring. Even the little ones felt the pain.
Souls did suffer in heat, cold, and rain, sad to say feet the days filled with grief, in hopes that the depression soon would cease. On Sunday was day of rest, everyone would gather and thank God they were blessed, not in ways that we might think, but in everyday living that life did bring.
This poem explains to us that Americans were affected greatly by the Great Depression. People would have to sell their possessions just to eat dinner that night. Knowing this, it affected everyone, including small children. No matter what, the suffering continued. Americans wished that it would just end. Though everyday life was a struggle, people were blessed to be alive and kept fighting.